Kakadosh Boker Tov. We're just continuing with halachot now. Shulchan Aruch and Sif Yud Zayin now is going to speak about another interesting halacha. He brings down a Yesh Omrim, which is basically going to be a Rashba, that somebody that's going to accept upon himself Shabbat early, he's allowed to tell his Jewish friend in order to do a melacha. The Rama brings down that he's even allowed to benefit from this melacha on Shabbat. And Kol Shekan on Motzei Shabbat is going to be another halacha, but until now, which means like this: I just came to the early minyan, and even if it's going to mean that we accepted ourselves Shabbat b'tzibur, which means that it wasn't just that stam I accepted upon myself Shabbat as an individual. Even though I was an entire congregation and we accepted upon ourselves a Shabbat, and I come out and it's still going to be, let's say, 25 minutes or 20 minutes before Shabbat. So therefore you have people that are even driving or they're going around. So therefore I'm allowed to actually come and ask my friend to do a melacha, and I'm allowed to benefit from that melacha. So here he brings down that this halacha would apply even if it's going to be cooking, even if it's going to be plucking off of a tree. There's no difference whatsoever. And it's not going to be considered, that means even though usually we say shliach shel adam kimoto, here there's going to be a few different reasons why it's not considered the shlichut, that as a messenger for me, and therefore it's going to be permitted on the Shabbat. Now this would be permitted also to tell a goy, which means that if it's going to be, we will speak about later on. Now all these halachot was even without a mitzvah. Meaning it wasn't just stam that we're talking about, that like a shvut d'shvut, or we're talking about that it's a hefsem merubeh, a great loss, or there's a... Here we're talking about stam, I'm allowed to come and ask another Jew to do a melacha. Why? Because since it's going to be before Shabbat for them, so therefore it's going to be permitted. The last halacha which we'll mention is actually very interesting. It's actually going to come out of Machlokat Achronim, but the way that he's paskening is, this would apply even to your wife and to your children. Which means, even though you came back home, we did mention, if you remember the past, right, that there's a machloket, does your wife and children, are they going after you in Kabbalat Shabbat or not? And we said that they're not, especially that nowadays, the majority of the times when you take on early Shabbat, it's just because of logistics, it's not because of the psak of the halacha, and therefore what happens is that you are not nigrar after your wife and children don't follow you. Which means that right now you came to the Beit HaKnesset, you accepted upon yourself Shabbat. They don't need to accept upon yourself Shabbat. Now, obviously, when you get home, a few minutes before you should get home, they should already accept upon themselves Shabbat. So therefore, it doesn't look that you come home and everyone's just doing Divrei Chol. It's not Shabbati. It's Uvadim Dechol. It's not nice the way that it should be done. However, though, if it was a case where a person does do that, he went home and they still didn't accept upon themselves Shabbat, or right, they come out and he's allowed to tell his wife or children, do a melacha for him. And therefore, why? Because just like this Rashba brought down, they bring down based upon the Gemara. The Gemara says that I can watch over my para, which is a my tchum. You're going to watch over my para, and I'm going to watch over yours. Each one is in a different tchum. We're allowed to do that. So he comes and he says, from there we learn that as long as there's no avirah for me to do it, so therefore I'm allowed to come and I'm allowed to ask you to do this melacha for me. So therefore it actually comes out, as we already mentioned, that it's going to come out that a person that you already accepted upon some Shabbat, he's allowed to ask another Jew to do a melacha for him, and he's allowed to benefit from it without any problem.